Good evening, gentle people. Long time no see. Wait a minute. I guess I've never actually seen any of you on Radio Hour, but it's been a while since we've done some of these. And we've done one of these, and I'm really excited about tonight's show. Thanks to anyone tuning in. We have a night with some amazing local poets, Katy Gurin, Jenny Brown, and Emily Stebbins, and then myself, yours truly, James Zeller, and Katie Belknap, a couple of J Street regulars, Radio Hour regulars are going to play some tunes at the end, including some new songs. So hope everyone's doing well out there. I know these are crazy times, and hopefully tonight's you find some nourishment for your spirit in tonight's show. And without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Jenny Brown to the bandstand here, to the whatever this is. Jenny.
Hi, everyone. I'm on the virtual bandstand here, but I am in Arcata, just a little bit down the street. My name is Jenny. I am a poet, as you might have guessed, and I also teach at College of the Redwoods, and I teach at Humboldt State creative writing. So if any of you are taking those classes, you might take those with me, or I also teach beginning writing, that kind of thing. So it's been like a while since I've done something like this. I did a very brief reading over the summer, so that was fun and a little nerve-wracking. And I'm also just talking to my own face right now because that's the only thing I can see, so that's a little bit weird. But I thought I would read a couple of poems. I have like a lot here, but I know we have 20 minutes, but I'm not sure that I'm going to take the whole time. So the first poem that I want to read for you is, well, I actually have a series of poems sort of about Arcata in a way, or about myself living in Arcata and during the pandemic kind of getting more involved in the natural world because we couldn't really be involved in the people world. So the first poem I want to read is called Arcata Meditation. And yeah, Arcata Meditation. Vans and overdriven sedans appear outside the house. Weathered backpacks line the plaza. Some people settle, some forever swirl in the air, catching in sunlight, erasing in shadow, invisible at night. Outside, I find a shiv, its handle freshly wound with electrical tape. Dichotomies are everywhere, and inside I construct my temple. Storied objects are routinely dusted, praised for their merit and admired. Even the cat lines up next to my lucky Maniko Nico, their winking eyes pause, beckoning, hiding their calico from the rain. In the future, though, boulders will erode to sand and soil. They'll wither into meaningless moraines, nearly disappear. Earlier, a glacier passed through, plunging into chasms scratched by sand, picked up by the ice, hitching a ride. All right, so I'm going to move on a little bit, and that's sort of my street people Arcata poem. But this is more into the natural world. So I found that it was really difficult for me during the pandemic because my family all lives on the East Coast, and most of my forever friends are there as well. So it was really hard to be away from them for so long. And so I thought about how the mycelia connect underneath the dirt and they talk to each other. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I can send some vibrations throughout the world through putting my fingers in the dirt. So this poem is called Hyphae. In a relief effort, I crouch down on my front lawn and push my hands, nails first, into wet grass, burrowing to black dirt, then rooting fingers around like a hydrophile. electrically attracted to what could dissolve it. I grasp for the invisible matrix of hyphae, each phenol unit in support of the hive, splintering fibers spread diagonally thousands of miles. A mycelial cord from California to that DC hospital where he worries his hands, paces, frets. The subspace is not specific. I only need to find a way in, divine a patch of earth, then dig, blind, for that pulsing current, a chute to connect us, to transfer him what he needs, nutrients, oxygen, energy. Eyes closed against the baking sun, I am an undifferentiated body, static. The wind tangles my hair into a web. So, that is sort of the idea there, where I was sort of thinking about how to connect with my people in any way that I potentially could, and I thought maybe the mycelial cord was a good metaphor for that. So this is sort of in keeping. I started noticing my own space a little bit more by being in lockdown and thinking about the people that I've lost. So in the world, and my best friend died 5 years ago, so I've been thinking about that a lot for 5 years. So this is sort of has to do with that, and it's called Trail. How long do I keep the secrets of the dead? They're my secrets now, staring at me through dust and cat hair covered windows. Those finite intimacies shared between me and them are useless now. They've dropped somewhere, collecting on the bottom of curtains, dragged back and forth with the sun, like so many other undiscovered discards. But if they touch a window, they'll mold. Black blotches, lichen-esque, pop up on books, shells, stones, gifts from outside that found their way in. I'm always afraid a trail of mold will make its way further, but I won't stop it from winding around ottomans, creeping floorboard to rug, water jug to mouse toy. Both so silent, this growth and decay, dappling each other, woven side by side. Oof, I'm so depressing tonight. Well, this is how it's been, I guess. It gets a little bit better, I think. Worse before better. Well, maybe I won't read. I'll skip over that one because it's a little too sad. I'll move on. So I did actually get to see some of the people that I loved this summer, and it was really wonderful. So I wrote a couple of poems about them and for them. And so from here on in, the poems will get like a little progressively better, like more uplifting. That's how I sort of arranged it for tonight. So this is a poem that I wrote right after talking to a couple of my friends and realizing they had been through a hard time, just as we had been through a hard time, and we couldn't be there with each other. And so I wrote this poem as sort of a gift for them. It's called Resettling. For those months that you were alone, puttering, moving small papers, cables from counter to coffee table, I too was restless, organizing spaghetti boxes, changing sheets, over-cleaning black bathroom grout until it flaked, crumbling like a dead neutron star, once powerful, now periodic waves falling into the bathtub. Black slivers I mistook for bugs sliding down the drain. Come here close to me and let me resettle you. If I press my body close enough, I can take a scar or two and dissolve them into me, absorbing them like a benevolent black hole. Nothing huge, no trauma room suturing, but maybe a near-miss health scare, even a hairline break I can fissure with some thread. I'll fill you an Epsom salt bath, steam rising like fog off the morning Pacific, blurring windows, forming dewdrops on picture frames, waiting to drip. Okay, so that was one of them, and this is the other poem I wrote for them when I was leaving them. So it's called Wild in August, and this is the latest poem I've written, so it's not exactly perfect yet, but I thought, hey, nothing's perfect, so let's just do this. And this one's called Wild in August. When I say I'll miss you, know that I've already begun. I'm 100 days ahead in the marsh by the beach, and I'm crouching near dune snails. Shoulder bands, air-breathing bodies are rare, but they're still stepped on, crushed under tires, smashed like glass shards on the gravelly path. My nephew Archie was born yesterday, and today, in Vermont, the towering hollyhocks grow. Their easy sway keeps them from falling. Pink petals flutter like eyelids. Spine-like stalks move with the wind off the lake. Their star hairs vibrate, an invisible shield. Before I shift the snails to safety, hide them in the reeds, their brown bands barely visible in the gray of early December. I tug their shells to see if they cling or let go, and then I wait, sometimes minutes, for their release. And if you see me crouched around town, that's what I'm doing. I'm picking up snail shells and moving them off sidewalks. I do it constantly. I do it with worms too. It's just part of, I don't know, who I am. Okay, so I have 2 more poems, and I think I'm going a little shorter than most, but that's okay. One is it's hard to explain actually either of them, so I'll just read them, and there we go. This one's a sort of I don't know. It's called Annus Mirabilis, which is the year of miracles in Latin. So I wrote this before COVID, so it's not it's not like a weird ironic thing. It's just the title. So Annus Mirabilis, a partial order. In the year of miracles, you are all mine. We lie together in a pre-dawn, almost slumber. I begin my lessons one moment after another, sequencing the history of the planets for your pre-dream mind. Starting with the storm, the galaxy, the dust, debris, darkness colliding, I reshape the Milky Way, its 200 billion stars and 100,000 light years across, spreading my hands out into the bedroom sky. I point out the spiraling star arms, the sheets catching briefly under me, then falling away. Light, even from stars, can behave in strange ways. We don't always see it coming. What I see reflected in your eyes in the half-light, shuddering, is the past already. It is morning for you, and you look to the window for the sun. Okay, so this is the last poem, and I wrote it for another poetry reading, sort of like off the cuff, and the poetry reading was focused on poets and poems who write about rock and roll and poems about rock and roll. And I have this habit of taking little naps before I go see music because I am a really tired person and music doesn't start until late, and I go see live music all the time. So I end up a lot of the time coming in from work, putting my stuff down, and crawling into bed for a couple of hours before I get up and go see a show. So that's sort of what this poem is about. And it's the last one. So it's called Sleeping Before a Show. I have 2 hours, so I take off my clothes in a line to the bed without flipping on a light, and then slip into sheets. The dark is a wave of dampened acoustics, so in my half sleep, I think about how I can love him tonight. Even if we don't speak and I go home alone, if he's on stage wailing on keys and I have to perch on my tiptoes or lean on the railing because I'm getting shoved, or a cigarette burns through my shirt to my arm, or an oaf reaches under my shirt to pinch my soft side belly to make me move, his vocal timbre can lift me out of the mush of bodies to convene in space. Those electric cables spaghettied around us, suspended in the sound vacuum, oscillating pressure, fluttering bass notes, a harmonic, steady state, and orange light reflecting off the top of his rig. Okay, well, thank you everybody for listening, and I can't wait to hear the other poets, so stick around for Emily and Katie.
All right, thank you so much, Emily. Thanks for being here, and thank you for the wonderful. I'm sorry, thank you, Jenny. Did I say Emily? Emily is next. I know your name. Thank you, Jenny. I was gonna say that I was really, I really liked your work. It was really great to hear, great to see your face, and I was thinking about all the times that I saw you and Jim at my gigs.
Oh yeah, I probably slept before your show.
That's what I was thinking. Definitely wanted to say thanks. So that was great. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Emily Stebbins to the stage here.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so I am going to be reading some very old things reworked and some semi-old things and then something very new, but mostly nothing too new. But maybe new to all of you or some of you. So, sorry to be a phone poet. This is called Vacation Poem. Isn't it scary there? Yes, it is, but not for the reasons you're thinking. Terror is being swallowed whole by bright young things and aspiration, gasping for air that doesn't taste of ambition, which has always smelled like fresh soap and dry money, but lately carries the aroma of sage, precise intention, and very clean eating. It's scary here, too, parched and desperate, full of hate, sucking itself dry so more of me can go there with aspiration and drink it. Scary because of standing on the bottom of Lake Mead, where someone's uncle floated in his houseboat, 1973, doing lines, smacking ass, pouring champagne and shit over the side. Scary because of lakes at all, murky puddles to dip while blinded by serene blue, straight white streams of smoke, chemtrails or the remains of angels smited by militant atheists. No clouds or rain, just sun. Dusky dam water struggling to push down the river, bullfrogs claiming dominion, while other amphibians watch me eat and watch me sleep. It is so spectacular that I've begun to believe I am a sacrifice. 20 high desert people bring me to the big ditch, show me the surreal, worn of squatting to piss and falling in. Most bodies are never found, dredge the river and the lake for months and nothing. Brought to Arizona by a spiritual leader and seducer, I am not surprised. If my last sight is Venus approaching Taurus, scorching, if my blood is shed for the cataclysm, if a frog laps up my insides, that's okay. I will not be the only one that dies for the desert this century. Inevitably, certain fears are unfounded, make it out to touch a columbine sprouting out of a waterfall, and then even further, to where red earth stretches through the sky and back down again. But don't look, avert your gaze. To stare at an arch is like looking at your parents naked in each other's arms, so taboo. Race up the hills out of the dust to wind-whipped conifer, People charging phones with solar, ruminating by lantern light. Conversations turn to sacrifice and fear again. Picture talus fields, upright barrel cactus. The end doesn't fit into a 5-year plan. Keep concentrating on the suspension of disbelief. Don't tell anyone that it's already fallen. So, I write a lot about the earth, the ways that it's disrespected, the ways that it's spiritual, the ways that it's not. So I'm reading a bunch of my poems that are in that voice, and then also a couple love poems. So this is another older poem that's about the potential of the end. Excerpt from a letter to the sun. A few days ago, a day of most primordial strength, every original source of energy buzzed up and greeting the fundamentals of existence. A poison entered me. Not a new poison, one that comes and goes. But all the great blowing breeze, cricket cacophony racing west at 80 miles per hour, softly greeting clouds, the visceral physical love covering my body, all of it silenced in 4 hours by poison. Poured elixir on top of salve, tried to trace the way a heart connects to a kidney. Filter me, but if all is in excess, there is no content. The filter rejects and spits back up at the heart. Everything bubbling over out of the little pores and shock neurology. I keep thinking if I run faster and faster, let go of all the hands I hold, and jump straight off a cliff, I will glide, but I don't. My filters scream, my wrists scream, my spine hums, and when it hums, there's no room for any other sound, except the thud, gravity's alarm. The morning of my loner camp, I took apart my tent and stopped for a moment to stare at a beam softly, kissing the edges of seeding grass, hand still moving at my task, then whack. Tent pole said, nope, horizon doesn't extend forever, the earth is round, and there ain't no turtles all the way down. Split lip and a bloody tooth, that gives me the gift of tasting my own iron while I remember I am almost too human. 2 dreams. An English garden wraps around a reflecting pool, where my omniscient self views my human self staring at my reflection with no recollection, all memory effaced. I know I, but there is no I to know. 2nd dream. I hear the ocean has disappeared. All that's left is miles of tidal pool. Walk out into a craggy Pacific beach to see if it's true. Just salt, puddle, starfish, and sea cucumber forever. Bullwhip kelp gripping a suffocating barnacle. This is the end, of course. Life about to go kapoof. But what a beautiful way for Earth to whisper the news in my ear. I'm not going to read that. I guess I will read this. Vernal spring-loaded. Nile keeps saying the day is auspicious. The day is suspicious. A bat flew in her window to get confused and fall asleep. The dogs cried all night, not listening to telepathic pleads for peace. Begging goes too low. Chickens fight over invisible social order and salad, just like me. The day is nervous, on my back, waiting for my new fly to stick to the spiral trap. She circles and slips, mostly all that sticks are my clumps of hair. Walk into the glue 3 times today. Used to wish to be a fish hanging off of some man's hook, now pray to be a fly. No social order, no civility, no one need palliate to me. No way to be of service, no way to be a resource. Plus carrion, great anarchists, great ecologists. The day is all anxious. Hot sun, 13 turkey vultures, same ones have been following me for months. Sick grassy dust sticking to the valley. Wasp on the closest window, another Death Eater. No alluring spiral, only buzzing ellipses tied around my ears. I regret the way chickens fight, dogs cry, stranded on a rural road, corn as high as an elephant's dick. Jealousy turns into a rock I can hold between my breasts. The day is all envious. Open the window to welcome my worries, the bugs for spiders to eat. I didn't mean to yell between the lines. I didn't mean to believe in scarcity that tightens affection until a snap. I just meant to be a fly, with all luck evading a trap, with all luck in the mouth of a bat. That one is funny to me because I used to really be obsessed with the fact that turkey vultures were following me. But now that I have lived not in a city for long enough, I realize it's just that they're always on the road because there's so many dead things on the road. So it's a good thing to learn. Okay, this is another pretty old one that I have reworked a little bit. It's called Post-Shaper's Tendency. Drawing of myself as neophyte with lacuna collar rendered as a loss. Without circle of rope and tether, I am free, no. Any lacuna is evidence of what used to be, any loss the outline of restriction, the specter of occupation. Let the ocean occupy the land, let it, I think it can. I keep holding my head in my hands, swallow me whole, earth. I stare at the screen, scroll, I stare at the screen, angry and ineffectual, mutable, symptom of a brain in a jar, symptom of sleeping on water, subject to tides, moon magnetized and soft, moved easily by wind, which I hate, eager to slurp up bait. I used to tell anyone who might listen that me and my highest friend are starting a religion. Everyone gets a box. 6 square feet for personal effects, 6 square feet for secrets. We always sleep together in the same bed. Rocks are people too. We never fight, we always fuck, we always reuse our plastic bags. Dry mud replaces your hands. Directions for what's next written into the land. Recreation stuck sloppy to kinship. Be change or beat it. Swallow me whole, earth. Swallow me whole, ocean. String of green hearts in the comments, American pronunciation of wilderness. It doesn't feel too religious. The Messiah comes home in tears, crumpled after hours in the service position. Best way to genuflect is on the floor, holding her head in your hands. Repeat. Belief is a form of care. In the meantime, I'm a god, disappearing into shapely air. I'm not gonna read that. Okay. This is called Identify Habitable Destinations. What's your favorite kind of trash? Why do you keep cutting the same corner? Tripping on a Whippet cartridge. This year I calculate accumulated waste. Last year I was garbage. You're so funny and flat and crunchy and clear, delicious while stunningly blue. I know relatively no trees personally. The floor beneath me is a good clue. Roads out to the future are a big farm best for growing green and gray. Dense idea that fixes industrial mistakes and personal trips in the bed of the drip. The other day, I wasn't in the mood to dig a big hole and live in it. It could be wrong to go along with letting myself let my lover become my bug-out bag. A barn house wrapped in barbed wire, a photo of a pink kid looking longingly at a llama, a single white go-go boot inverted on a fence post, a dumpster for coins, a bag of soil and spit. If there's no such thing as dry mud, then how do you explain wet dirt? There are answers, but first, how can I convince you that wilderness is fake? How can I learn to wink without my whole face? Not gonna read that. Okay, I think now I will switch to the love section because that's what I want to do. So the next are all love poems. This one is called North Star on Water. Up there, the highway is the river. Down here, the highway is the ocean. The middle is a main drag, spongy air with squish synthesis. We plan to escape the weather, but weather's all we ever really want to talk about. Ring of fire, spirit of love. You're pictured as a burning star scrambling up a steep slope. Pink dog on the dashboard, ring of fire below the belt. Spirit of love on a bed of bare grass. 2 hands on wood, mouth on poison oak. Belief running over basalt. This is my way of telling you everything I could never say before. Yeah, this is my way of telling you that every day I'm loving you so much more. And this is also a love poem about a different person. At the end, I love you like a god. You hit me up extra early, still high on meth from last night's turn toward morning. It's these atmospheric reveries that have me obsessed. I think about you every day, considering the concerted efforts to choose life over death, considering how you consider the same in your first home away from the West. God, you're so beautiful. I asked the planet what to do at your instruction, and they said to turn toward you. I want to lay in your bed in a stranger's indent, hold you while you're still a little wet, feed you canned energy, eat all of your cigarettes, and then, at the end, and this is a love poem for my best friend Julia, who's the best person to ever walk the earth. Julia is what it's called. It's 7 p.m. in Eureka. Light bulbs turn on. No believing it could be the same time in LA. There's always sunshine. You are slipping on a clear blue sock. You are casting no shadow. High noon on steep cement. High noon for eternity. Good energy. You came up the coast to warm the wooden box I was using as a house. Delivered green tongues in dirt. Labeled 8-inch exotic angel. It's still alive, and so are we. I hope for good luck, all available time, constant change, enough life to see your skin and mine get saggy, droop all the way down, hit the ground, sizzle on your white-hot driveway. Yeah, I guess I'll just read 2 more. One is another love poem that I wrote a while ago, but it kind of reminds me of the year that we have all had, except it's about bacteria, not viruses, but still about sickness. 104 days of bacteria. It's been 14 weeks of almost nothing, mostly sleep, which is a thing no one calls an accomplishment. One thing I did was stop my teeth from bleeding every day. The sink is white, it used to be blue, turns blue again when hit with deep red spit. They say a few things about extended life in the modern world. Underwear, dental hygiene, wipe from front to back, separate water from shit if you're lucky. I can't convince my lover to try their hand at living forever. A professional peered in their mouth, rivers of blood. They smile upside down at the story, draw blood from a banana. There's not much I'm going to do in this long life. I can tell from accumulation of empty days, 0 plus 0. I solemnly swear one solid thing, of sitting nude on my lover's chest with a brush in their mouth until blood stops rushing or one of us drains. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to read is a poem that my friends helped me write today because I've been having a lot of trouble writing And it's sort of a exquisite corpse, so everything's open for interpretation. And my friends and lovers call me Life, so it's called Life's Etched Rock Poetry #1. Ancient mouse shit rains down upon us. Where do you want to go? Are you hungry, babe? Did you notice the blow pop left on that one grave? TV dinners, Nature's Bounty, toilet paper, milk, Beechwood Canyon blues. Just got yelled at by a rich lady in a brown Mercedes for blocking her driveway. I could feel how bad she wanted to tow me. It kind of turned me on. She's watching me write this instead of move my car. Shut the door. Get off my tail. An animated life, concerned. Death to fruit. Thousands weeding rich material. Dusty diaries housed. Made bath. I dreamt I was in a profoundly opulent hotel room, too. Master bath had constant flowing warm water for washing hands, a perpetual stream. Death to fruit. Poetry is adolescence fermented and thus preserved. Sound, honey. Relax music. God bless the whole world. No exceptions. Finish. No exceptions. And there's a couple more things to add there. Let's see. No exceptions, dust wandered into the kitchen. I love guardian angels, but I love you more. Life beginnings. 1 cat, 2 children, 3 World Series. Happy 40th, Wendy. I will be there in spirit from the gray dungeon of work. Okay, that is some of my poems. Thank you. And up next is Katie and James. It'll be really special, so stick around.
All right, thank you so much, Emily. That was amazing. Really incredible work. Now we have Katy Gurin, and I'm excited to accompany here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Emily, Jenny, and James, and thanks to everyone who's listening. It's wonderful to be with you. 2020 fire season. Noon was dim, red, and raw. Sickness had spread. I felt it in my muscles as the old story left. Before that day, I thought extinct life was defective. I believed my predecessors were incomplete. I hadn't realized how easy it is to lose a world to carbon. My cranium is like melting ice cream. It's heavy, like an aged flower. It's not me. Now I ponder the lives of my kin out there in time. Devonians, Sarcopterygians, Permian, Therapsids. I spend all day thinking of how beautiful they are. So, as you can probably tell from that poem, I spend a lot of time thinking about Earth's history. I'm not a paleontologist or a geologist. I'm a climate activist, and a few years ago I realized I needed to look into the deep history of the Earth if I was to understand the present and the near future. I wanted to know how fossil fuels were formed, and I wanted to better imagine what the world will be like after human-caused change. I've now learned that much of the oil and gas taken from North America originated in the Paleozoic era, after visible life appeared, but hundreds of millions of years before dinosaurs. 3 of Earth's mass extinctions occurred during this time, and the Paleozoic's tragic losses were likely caused, at least in part, by the withholding and release of atmospheric carbon, so inhalations and exhalations that ended worlds. So I'm very excited to be performing with James. Usually I would stop throughout the reading and introduce some of my poems, but this time I'm going to talk a little bit longer, so just a few more minutes more, and then I'll read all the way through so I don't interrupt the flow of the music. So bear with me for just a few more moments. Most of the poems I'll read to you today are about the Paleozoic, focusing on the Devonian period or Age of Fishes, when coral reefs were particularly magnificent. This is actually like my favorite time in Earth's history. It was so beautiful, I think. My poem Carnial and Pluvial episode takes place in the late Triassic period, which is about 100 million years after the Devonian, during a time of intense global rainfall that lasted millions of years. The Carnian Pluvial episode taught me about the connections between life, climate, and greenhouse gases, much as the Devonian did. And the Eocene epic is interesting to me because it may be a good reference point for what the climate will be like after extreme human-caused change. Banded Iron Formation is a poem set prior to the Paleozoic, when organisms living in the ocean began to release enough oxygen to change Earth's climate. So, as you listen, don't worry about remembering what I just said. I hope you can visualize the turning of tectonic plates and trip out on the vast spans of time being referenced. And I hope you can picture the movement of greenhouse gases from the sky to the earth and back again, and just, get a sense of the fabulousness of the creatures who came before. And if I can convey any concept, it's this. It's easy to lose a world to carbon. But I believe that, if people get involved and if we act quickly and decisively, we can prevent the loss of our world. So to me, the history of the earth makes the present moment more precious. So let's travel back in time. Stratigraphy. To go back in time, you go down, but this only works so far before the earth eats the clock it sweats. Radiolarian. You can tell deep time by the unraveling of their lives in the chert. A millennia makes a millimeter. Jupiter-colored rock, hard enough to spark, comes from ooze that was once silicaceous lace. A translucent skeleton one can focus a microscope through, works as a compass. Banded Iron Formation. As the continents sewed themselves together, phototrophs turned anaerobes into extremophiles. When life allied with sun, it rusted the earth, took green from the ocean, drained orange from the sky, and made the world cold with lack. Early Paleozoic plate tectonics. The old supercontinent wandered to sea, fled itself, split to Baltica, Laurentia, and Siberia. Inside the land's new sutures, the Iapetus Ocean flooded, then, maybe tethered in a mantle to the opening Riek, the Iapetus dove below Laurentia. Another inner sea, the Paleotethys, dug down Gondwana's margin. Gondwana spun, gathering ice in the south, salt and lime at the warm equator. The landmass did not venture past its home hemisphere. The waters were restless. They had ascended. Ordovician Silurian extinction. The Iapetus Ocean sunk into the ductile rock to burble back into islands. The ocean pulled its archipelago west as it dove, wrecking land against the continent where it slid up a suture and grew to Appalachia. The atmosphere, thick with carbon, washed new mountains in acid. Worn fine by the rain, threads of massif were released to the living sea. In bright water above the continents, creatures held carbon close around their soft bodies. They wove carbon to bone and test, shell and corallum. Vegetative filigrees left the water to crush the rocks they clasped. They pulled land down until seas suffocated, entombing carbon. And when enough had been unraveled into the ocean, Earth shivered under a threadbare sky. The southern supercontinent clutched its water, bulged with ice, sucked up the shallow seas, and withered oceanic lineages. It narrowed life's breath. Middle Paleozoic plate tectonics. Spines poked out where Laurentia and Baltica fell back together. In the basins, rotting mountains poured their minerals. Idaho and Nevada were deep and silty, were riverine and estuarine. As the Paleozoic pressed at crouch-submerged continents, Epieric seas awoke. In bright water, corals built stupendous cities on their own bones. Devonian reefs. At an apogee of Earth's resplendence, the living ground spread wide in the shallows. The sun was discomposed to starry nodes of a shifting cerulean net cast across the tentacled, hungry Chantilly. Animals assumed the form of flowers, elegant fish ascended. Before cranial creatures lumbered, they slid. Undulant, buoyant, and armored, they wheeled with the flick of a fin. To the corals. Stromatoporoid, breathing boulder, how long does it take to lay your page of ground? Rugose coral, cup with a mouth inside, spilled up at the sun, honeysuckle size or as tall as a human door. Each to a chalice was your way, but some of you mounded. You radiated, reached toward each other, pressing skeleton to skeleton. Tabulate coral, were you a farm or a predatory field? Together you grew, not one, not two, you became a ball on a tee, a hollow top, a hive, a mound of hair, an inverted lightning bolt, a synapse of rock, a chambered tree with radial veins. A splendid world was made from the rooms you abandoned. To the fishes at the base of the blood. You were double-skeletoned and self-sharpening. You wore intricate, interlocking scales and wreaths of enameloid, aspirin, and dentine. You had tails like araucarias and fangs for faces. Your eyes looked up from flattened circlets buried in the mud. Your fins were like petals thrown at a pile of knives. You possessed Earth's first faces, gave the world's first births. You left a trace of iridescent red in the rock. Threaded through a fossilized skull, you left the imprint of nerves meant for a bygone sense. Middle Paleozoic plate tectonics. A fold opened, and more of the living Riek fell toward the core. Once again, the world continent assembled itself. Archaeopteryx. The pointed shadows of fungal obelisks used to twirl with the day over the mosses. Then, making Earth's first gentle rustling, tall green kaleidoscopes moved inland along the rivers. But it was Archaeopteryx, like a redwood born from dust, who cracked the rock so its roots could wander the underworld and steady its green overreach. Archaeopteryx could recover from a beheading to create a place shifting and close. Archaeopteryx, who softened the ground with shed seasons, who became the world tree, who ended the world it made. Late Devonian extinction. Did Devonian trees overfeed the sea? Did algal bloat smother feathered castles? Did it stifle Piscean splendor, sucking oceanic oxygen in its rot? When Devonian algae found a sturdy, anoxic, abyssal tomb for carbon, ice moved into the air's new thinness. Joining glaciated continents smoothed Earth's animal facets. For 100 million years of frost, sea lily fields went hunterless. Age of crinoids. In the aftermath, in vast submerged animal meadows, sea lilies used their lacy petals to taste the sugar kept in the ocean's intricate boxes. Could any hunger be more beautiful? What more could the world want than this form, which the indistinct years repeated over their millions? Late Paleozoic plate tectonics. Pangea subsumed interior oceans. It squatted across the equator. A vertebral range ran pole to pole. The joined land became a grave for nearly everyone. Only Samaria rifted away. Permian Triassic extinction. What Paleozoic life took from the sky was kept as coal, oil, and gas. Then Earth split like a bud, and young rock flooded Siberia, igniting graves there, loosing ghosts in their vapors. New life exhaled sulfur, the land pulsed with fungus, it had a great need for rot. With no roots to steady a meander, rivers tangled, and the sea, stripped of its generosity, withheld carbon from the coral's mosaic. Saturated, the sea dissolved its shells, it stalled. So much life had depended on the ocean's great restlessness. Cardian pluvial episode. Underwater volcanoes pulled 2 million pluvial years from the Earth's mantle, and the rain spent this time casting smooth pebbles across the continents. Once again, life was lost at the behest of carbon. The atmosphere exhaled a command, or a spell, or a song to end the lineages. Beginning, conifers pulsed, and dinosaurs ground forest to food. It rained for 2 million years until the Earth sucked its carbon back. Eroding mountains, underwater formations, and trees held this gasp. Eocene. Like the surface of a pond, I touched it dark, where my hand felt for a boundary as it plunged, and I thought of the future, this life I love, as I saw my reflection multiplied, as I saw how quickly it scattered. I spent so long there, simulating losses, learning how it felt to let them ripple through my mind. Wedgwood. In the pre-dawn dark, the flame blue as open ocean awakens under my kettle. Humans have always cooked over fire, a friend once told me. It's primal. So I burn an ancient, suffocated sea. The teacup warms my hands, heat from the making of a new ghost. Thank you so much, James. Thanks everyone who's listening and watching. It was wonderful to be with you.
Thanks so much. That was so fun. I really want to do take after take after take, to be quite honest. It's really, really, really fun to do. Thank you so much, Katie. That was amazing. And at this time, I'm going to close out the show with Katie Belknap. This is the part of the program where I readjust the camera and the microphone and the stage. And I somehow do it in a way that's not incredibly awkward visually. But first thing I'm going to do is play a song that I wrote recently. We have some songs. These are all, the radio hour was a really great time for Katie and I to write music and try things out and really do things that we'd never done as writers before. And it's really exciting to have not been on radio hour for a long time, because now we have a lot of new material. So hopefully some that are appropriate, actually. We have a few songs. I'm going to take this off here so you all can see my face. I'm going to play a song right now that anyone that knows me will think it's a little bit absurd that I wrote a song about baseball. But I did. And it's not really about baseball, but I've been living across the street from the baseball stadium here in town, so it's like been the sound of baseball games and baseball crowds has been the test pattern of my imagination here. if there's nothing else happening, I think that I must have just heard. Thank you for reading my mind there. I think that I must have just heard a baseball game happening. So here goes this one. Hope you like it. And we, after I play this tune, Katie's gonna join me and play another song that I wrote. Then we're gonna play a couple of her tunes, and then we're gonna play a song that we wrote together. And we've tried to pick some songs that have some poetry in them that seem to fit the night. So someone else, since it's poetry, someone else can tell me what it's about, please. The home team was down 11-0. I was watching from the freeway overpass, and the orange light of sunset filled the heavens. At the end of 7, all the fans had left the stands. As the 8th wound down, I made my way. Oh, I skipped a verse there, I'm sorry. Both teams just stood in amazement to behold the beauty unfold for their eyes. And it seemed like they just stopped playing, but the rules required they finish out the night. And it's just like another song where nothing happens. On the highway there was no fiery wreck, and there wasn't even any comeback. And Babe Ruth wasn't stranded on deck. As the 8th wound down, I made my way across the bridge and up the stairs to my room for the night. And I guess that's why I don't play baseball, because in baseball you're not supposed to cry. The moon rose, the night ended, and the umpire said it was a game. Well, I was back in time in my childhood, on the day the old ballpark went up in flames. And it's just another song where nothing happens. On the highway there was no fiery wreck, and there wasn't even any comeback. Babe Ruth wasn't stranded on deck. All right, there you go, a song about baseball. And without further ado, I'd like to bring the incomparable one, Katie Belknap, to the bandstand here. Great to have you. And well, let's see. What order do you think we should do these in?
Well,
I was kind of thinking to get straight to
Free
with every purchase.
I know, I was thinking that might be good, and then these are both, the last ones are both kind of lullabies, so it makes sense for them to be last. Thanks everyone. Thanks to all the poets tonight. That was listening from the other side over there. It's really nice. This is a song I wrote a while ago, but it was missing something for a long time. And then I met James, who could play the trombone, and I could just whistle something in a different key, and he could figure it out. $300 million years ago, when time was good and old, the land was full of swamps and trees and other plants and algae. Photosynthesis is all we need. And then one day we up and died and sank to the bottom of the ocean, covered by sand and clay, and then a little potion. I'm just a plastic bag floating in the wind. I don't know where I'm going or how it's going to end. And I'm shredding apart, and yet I have no heart. I am free with every purchase. All right. Thanks, James.
What is that?
Should we do
Definitely the perfect call there, thematically.
thematically? Yes, I was getting it worked out. I think. Well, we should do this one next.
Sounds great, yeah. So I thought it was really apropos. What happened here? That I must have bumped that. That's the old bump the guitar and put it out of tune as it arrives in the bandstand trick. I thought it was really well with our music following Katie's poetry. Both of my songs have the highway prominently featured, and Katie's song has of course, the evolution into a plastic bag. So I thought they really somehow they work, and this is a song where I suppose the highway becomes even more metaphoric than the last one. But it's that I guess the image of the highway being this, also in this song, maybe representing the idea that you have to accomplish something, or that you have to do something in order to be a success, or that achievement is so important in our world, which is kind of baloney. So here's my answer. Have you heard the highway sing? And have you felt the calling? Have you been pulled by the tide? Have you felt a longing in the night to fly? And have you looked on open skies and wish that you, like birds, could fly? Well, nothing is required, and you don't have to fly. your heart still aching? And are your dreams still clinging? With empty hands, and yet we try to grasp the past gone by. My, how time flies. Just close your eyes. 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 Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Katie. And that's
That's great.
the first time we've ever sung it all the way through with the harmony. That's fantastic.
Definitely.
You're phenomenal.
Work.
It's great. It worked.
Do it again
So
someday.
we'll probably keep that one in the book. Hope everyone's enjoying the music and the show. And if you're arriving late, I'll tell you that you can always go back. I said this at the end, towards the end. You can always go back and watch the show if you missed any of it. You should go back and check it out. It was such a pleasure to hear the work of 3 great local poets tonight. First up, we had Jenny Brown, and then Emily Stebbins, and Katy Gurin. I almost said something completely different. I admit it. I've been known to do that on occasion. And do this one?
What do you think? And then the
Sounds great.
other one?
Yeah.
All right.
Should we talk about this song at all, or just do it?
We could talk about it afterwards.
Talk about it afterwards. That makes sense. This song has a story to the way it was written.
I want to write a song tonight to make it right, to make it bright. Birds in flight and fading light. Oh, what a sight. Oh, what a night. Starlight ignites the heart's delight. It's like a kite at such a height. So hold it tight with all your might. Let it excite, give you insight. The white moonlight incites dendrites and extradites the blights of slice. And I will purge your parasite and heal your gut with Vegemite. The dogs won't bite, the ghosts won't fright, the crops won't blight, the sights won't fight. I'll neutralize your kryptonite and then diffuse the dynamite. A stalactite, a stalagmite, illuminite and malachite. Alright, 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 alright. We hope you have sweet dreams tonight. Alright. That was a song that James and I wrote with our friend Lomar. I do this thing where when I'm writing a song, I like to write every word that rhymes with the word that I first think of on the side of the page. But then they get kind of silly. So then we wrote it and had all these silly verses. And we were like, well, we came up with the form of the musical part of the song and then wrote all these verses without having the guitars or singing it at all. And then we were like, okay, well, Lomar was going to bed, and so we're like, we'll play it. And it actually sounded not ridiculously silly.
I thought it was just gonna be hilarious and kind of, I don't know, not calming but then it just almost feels like kind of like a dream because it gets so weird and the word just keeps rhyming and rhyming and rhyming and rhyming. It's sort of, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of stuck.
Yeah. But that was our debut.
Of a co-write. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Well.
So you've added a lot of parts to my songs that are.
Yeah.
Fairly
Well, our debut of this song.
Our
too.
debut of this song. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Well, should we do our final lullaby?
I think so.
All right.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to J Street Regulars Radio Hour Poetry Special. And been such a pleasure to share this night with you, wherever you are out there. We're going on faith again that the interwebs are connecting us. And
I really meant to decorate this into a person-shaped tripod camera.
I let my eyes glaze over and I just imagine that there's tons of people out there. And it's, oh wow, it's so great to have all of you here. Thank you so much. And, we hope that song lulled you towards calming down and going to sleep if that's your thing at this hour. And if that one didn't, then hopefully this next one definitely will.
That's good. Get in bed. Close your eyes. Go to sleep. Drift off to dreamland. You'll see things that are hard to repeat. Drift off to dreamland. We'll work it out in our dreams. In dreams, things are never as they seem. It's only dreamland. I can't read words, and there may be birds. We'll work it out in our dreams. Flying or falling, wandering around. get there, but the place can't be found. You can't be choosy in this bedtime movie. So now lay your head back, it's Silent Circus Town. Go to sleep. Shh. Go to sleep. Drift off to dreamland.
Thank you everyone for watching the show. Hope everyone's doing well out there. It sure is an odd but also great feeling to be back doing a radio hour show here. So blast from the past. We hope to see you soon. We'll probably be doing some more of these. And if you've missed the earlier part of the show, go back and check out the great poetry from tonight. And until next time, sending lots of love out there, and also a hug coming through the internet, coming through the ether. And in fact, you can feel it right now. And it's going to feel kind of like the camera getting hugged by yours truly. Thank you so much. Good night.